Hi, I'm Tamsin. Thank you for joining me here at the Listening Space. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about a different kind of listening. So, not so long ago, a friend of mine was talking about a feeling of tension that she has all around the top half of her body. And there was a lot going on for her at that time, and she identified that it was probably trying to stay in control that was causing it. Now, there was a time where I would most likely have said, do you know, I get a feeling of tension in my shoulders too. And I'd have made some suggestions and offered some advice, thinking that I was being helpful. When what I would actually have been doing was bringing the focus of the conversation back to me and my experience. And it's quite possible that my unsolicited advice might have actually caused her to close down a little bit, to shut down a little bit, rather than opening up and talking about what was troubling her. But then, about 10 years ago, I was introduced to a set of questions called clean language questions, or clean questions. And these questions transformed the way that I listen. They transform the way that I listen to myself, helping me to connect with what feels right for me in the decisions that I make. And they transformed the way that I listen to other people, helping me to understand them at a kind of deeper, richer level. In this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about clean language, explaining what it is and when you might use it. So, clean language was developed in the 1980s by a New Zealander called David Grove. At its heart lies a specific set of questions asked in a way that prevents you from contaminating the conversation with your assumptions and suggestions, leaving the other person free to do their own thinking about their situation. There are just two steps to using these questions. You repeat back some of the words that the other person's used and ask a clean question. Now, the interesting thing about having your words repeated back to you is that it kind of invites you to dig a little deeper into your thinking, and it can feel really validating. There are 12 basic questions, clean questions, and a number of other questions, but you can go a long way using just two of the most commonly used questions. What kind of, and is there anything else about? Let me give you an example. Supposing a friend was to say to you, oh gosh, she was being so disrespectful. All you need to do is do a kind of internal press pause, set aside any notion that you might have of what disrespectful means, and ask a clean question. What kind of disrespectful? Is there anything else about disrespectful? Now, since these questions invite a person to say a little bit more without contaminating the conversation with your suggestions and assumptions, it can be really useful to have one or two clean questions up your sleeve, just in general conversation, to check whether the meaning that you're making of what has been said matches the meaning that was intended. These questions are a really good way of avoiding misunderstanding or clearing up any misunderstanding that might have arisen. These questions can also be used for more in-depth exploration, to invite more in-depth exploration. And one of the things that makes them unique is that they can be used to focus on the metaphors that people naturally use to describe their experience when they describe one thing in terms of another. So remember the friend who talked about that feeling of tension in the top half of her body. Rather than saying, well, have you thought about doing this or have you tried doing that? What I actually did was said, I can ask you some clean questions about that if you'd like, if you want to explore that feeling of tension a bit more. And she said, yeah, okay, that would be great. So I repeated back some of her words and asked a clean question. Tension all around the top half of your body and trying to stay in control. Anything else about tension? And she said, yeah. It's completely around the top half of my body, from the base of my head down to my waist, and it's on the outside, and it's crushing inwards. It's made of hard, like rusty iron, and there's no give in it. Repeated back some words, asked a clean question. Hard, rusty iron, no give in it. Is there anything else about tension? She paused, and she looked down, and she said, yeah, there's a little key in a keyhole, and it's right in the middle of my chest, and the over my heart, and it's saying, come on, turn me, turn me. I repeated back some words, asked a clean question, and she went on to say that the armor was impenetrable, and the only way to break in was the key. She then turned the key as we were talking, and she said, whoa, it's just gone ping. The armor has just flung open, and the heavy metal has fallen to the floor, and I feel all kind of light and open, and I can move now. So I asked her to reflect on what she now knew, and she said, well, I realised that it's up to me, that it's up to me to move the armor. I've got a way in now, whereas I didn't have any choice before. When I'm feeling tense and I feel the armor there, all I need to do is just stop, take a deep breath, and unlock the armor, let it go. So just a handful of questions, and as if from nowhere, a metaphor appeared, this big iron armor. And this metaphor brought a whole new dimension to her understanding of herself. And I have my own metaphor for what needs to happen to listen, in order to listen to someone in this way. You first need to wipe your feet on a metaphoric welcome mat. And in so doing, you're going to wipe away any desire to fix or change or analyze or interpret. You welcome whatever arises, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable. You welcome it all in equal measure. You just get curious and stay clean. And you can use these questions to encourage someone to explore pretty much any aspect of their experience, from a problem that they might like to gain clarity on to a creative idea that they want to develop. You can even use these questions on yourself. So next time you want to offer your listening, you might want to do that internal press pause, set aside any desire to make things better, slip into your back pocket all those clever suggestions, insights that you think they're really going to benefit from, wipe your feet on the welcome mat, and open that space for the other person to tell their own story in their own way. I think it might just be the greatest gift that you can give to somebody. And if you'd like to learn more about clean language, you can read about it in my book, The Listening Space. You can head over to the blogs on my website. There are some links below that you can click on. Or you might want to try one of the clean meditations in the meditation series. They're a really lovely way of tuning into your experience. So lots for you to explore, and thank you for listening.